Thank you for having us. So, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And welcome to our panel, Women Shaping the Future of Content in MENA. I'm joined here today with four remarkable ladies, as you can see, who have helped shape our industry in this region. I'll start with alphabetical order. So we have Buthaina BinHader, with over 20 years of experience in the media industry. She is a pioneering producer and director at Dubai Media Incorporated and now heads Majid TV in Abu Dhabi Media Networks. Right here to my left is Elzahraa Essam, co-founder of Captain Boy and a producer and creator of the Quack Dailies family show. It's a hit comedy series. She's an she's an award woman. She's an award-winning content strategist who has collaborated with key media players in our region, such as Warner Brothers and OSN and many more. Over to FATIHA, who is director at Ian Life and a visionary leader in children's and family entertainment. She's an active member of the International Academy of Television Arts and Sciences and a strong advocate for innovation and inclusion in media. Last but not least, we've got Mariam AlSerkal, an Emirati producer, director, and as mentioned, founder of Triplets on set. She has debuted her career of over 20 years experience in the media industry as the youngest Emirati female director. Join me, please, in welcoming the panelists. Thank you. So to start with setting up the bigger picture of our conversation, I'd like to hear briefly from each of you. How are women creators, writers, and producers transforming narratives across TV, film, and digital platforms today? Maybe I could start with Elzahraa because she's closest to me.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about myself because my journey has been about building an IP in the MENA region. This is a very big challenge worldwide, but doing it in MENA is even a little bit harder. Building the IP, creating the character, the storyline, and having a family with kids that grow up on screen was my mission and was my hope to achieve. And I'm so happy that I finally did it. It started only on social media back in 2020. It was just an idea of creating scripted drama for social media. Everybody then was doing non-scripted. So we thought this is a business opportunity because there is an open place in the market for this. So we built the Quack family. We chose the name Quack because everybody loves ducks. I love ducks. And I wanted to have an identity that can travel and grow across the regions, not only in MENA and not only in Egypt. But it was a learning phase for me because studying social media and digital growth, it's very hard. But COVID helped us. We studied a lot. And when we created this IP, it easily went viral in Egypt first, of course, because they were talking earlier today about doing something for your own audience, and then it will easily cross the borders. And then we knew this is short-form drama. We didn't know back then that this was called short-form drama. And then it got picked up at Shahid. I really thank Shahid so much because they spotted the potential behind this very unique and original idea, and they helped us grow. They invested in season 2 and season 3, but I still own the IP, which is a very good thing. And we're planning to make our Quack family grow more, bring in more families to the Quack family, and get out of MENA. Hopefully someday we have a Saudi Quack family, maybe Spanish Quack family. I love the Spanish content a lot, and I believe we share so many things in common, and I hope this happens soon.
Thank you, Elzahraa. And over to you, Mariam. Are there any points of view that you would like to share?
I think maybe I'll speak more from a personal journey, I suppose, because building Triplets on set. It's where my soul, my passion, and I believe that is the only way to go in all the projects. So I still recall, the time when I was 19 years old, back in 2003, and entering the field of media. At that time, we were, I think, 2 or 3 women, Emirati women, in the entire TV industry, which was daunting, but I always love a challenge. Like, I never felt, overwhelmed. I was like, yes, I need to prove this, and we need to do all of this. So, and I remember to this day, I always gear towards projects or productions that are not usually welcomed by women. So the first show I directed was a Cars show, out of all shows there are. And, I remember it was such a coincidence. I remember walking, I was dying to direct. I was an assistant director. And, this itch that I'm ready to direct, give me I will do anything, And I compared myself to my male colleagues. I admire them and I appreciate them. But they just, the drive, I would do anything to get this opportunity. And I remember walking by, and Ali Jaber at that time was the head of content at Dubai TV. And he's like, would you be okay directing a car show? I said, anything. Just give me anything. So I was hungry. And I think the fact that women being in such, I would say maybe male-dominated industries and even projects, prove significantly the touch that a woman can put in. And, I remember every time I would shoot, when we would go to all those international car, they would say, you're the director? Like, a woman? Like, it was so bizarre, even internationally. And from that on, I put it on myself. I will do everything that is always male-dominated. I want to target it, just to prove that having that woman touch does create a different element to it. And I think that's been my motto since then. I think with women, there's a sense of urgency that we feel we can add so much. And fast forward now and looking at all those amazing filmmakers from this region. I mean, we're still very far ahead, of course, to reach, but there's been a huge leap into where we've reached currently. So, for me, after 20 years in the different mediums and, heading productions, I knew I wanted to go back to being on site again. And maybe a lot of people don't understand this. When we go and shoot 3 a.m. in the morning and have those 12-hour shoots, they're like, and I have 3 kids, so it's hence triplets, So everyone's like, why? Like, you can just get a comfortable job. You'll get paid 3 times more. And I'm like, I can't describe to you the energy and the flow and the euphoria, I think that's the right word, that I feel being on set and working with like-minded people. Is just phenomenal. And I think this is so essential when it comes to content creation. It's that passion that women bring so much into. Yeah.
Thank you, Mariam. Very interesting. I mean, thank you. Cars indeed are a very unlikely, category for women to be handling. But I feel like because we are creators and we are innately made to give life, so seeing these productions come to life through you definitely
studied every car model later. I had to do my research.
That's amazing. Moving to a different perspective on the same topic, from a more co-production and acquisition being a key digital platform at Ian Life leader, how do you add your point of view on this perspective?
So basically, being a content executive, I'm lucky enough to be a decision maker. So I'm a bridge between content creators, producers, and the audience, the users, the kids. And through the time, I tried and I ensured that we get heard internationally. So in the past, the MENA region was seen more as a secondary market, as a consuming market. So we were offered content, but like as a completed stage. It's like a take it or leave it. This is what's on the table. So what we tried to do through the time, and it took many years, to try and change that perception from being a secondary market, a consuming market, to a primary market that needs to be addressed specifically with its needs, with its values and culture. So what we did, we rejected a lot of content because it did not follow our standards and our values. And by doing so, we got the attention of the producers, the international producers, and they realized that our market does not fit in a one size fits all. They had to address it differently. They had to listen to us. They had to address our values, our concerns. So from moving from just being pitched at a completed stage, we moved into pitching at a development level, at a project level. So we gave our opinion about those IPs. We gave up our opinion about whether the values were in line with our own values, our culture, whether they're respecting our values. We gave our opinion about that content, whether it is educational actually, it is delivering some values for our audience. We ensure that the content is safe for our audience. In every single decision we made, our audience was at the core of that decision. The well-being of kids was at the core of that. So they had to address the users' needs, our users' needs, the children. So by doing that, we ensured with the time to become a primary market, and becoming a primary market allowed us to premiere top IPs globally at the same time with other primary markets like the US and Europe. So we had premieres at the same time. So by enriching the MENA market with very premium IPs, we actually inspired local producers, local talents to upgrade and enhance the quality of the content that they are creating, because they are exposed to much more good and excellent quality. So they had to benchmark, they had to upscale themselves. So I think we played a positive role in pushing those like unsuitable content and getting the content, the premium content, like enriching this market with more premium content and getting to inspire the region, and of course helping in, I think, upscaling the quality of the content that's being produced from our region. And in addition to that, as I said, we always play a role in protecting kids from harmful content. So what we did also, part of our content strategy is moving or securing and licensing many IPs that were initially produced for digital platforms which did not have the right regulation, which did not have the parental controls. So, but our audiences enjoyed those IPs, and we did not want to deprive them from those IPs. So what we did, we licensed those IPs, we brought them into our platform in a more safe environment. So our audience can still enjoy those IPs that were initially made for platforms that were not basically regulated, and we brought them into a safe environment where the users can still enjoy them. So this is, sorry if I was a bit long, but this is a bit the way we contributed into basically how to say, developing and improving maybe the quality of the content of this region, and also moving into being more of a prime and premium market.
Thank you, Fatiha. And I think that's a great, thank you. It's great that you do mention safety of content, and I think that comes into play definitely when Buthaina is working on productions or looking into creating things for Majid TV that primarily caters to kids' audiences. So how do you see your role in that area?
Me?
Yeah, Buthaina.
Yeah,
Buthaina.
First, I'd like to thank every one of you because you took time from your schedule and make it to attend with us here today. Thank you, everyone. Again, what's your question?
Okay, so Fatiha was mentioning like how you keep in mind the safety and the content being catered to a younger audiences, or even culturally fit, even if it's not just for the youth. But for you specifically, because it's Majid TV that you currently hold your role in, and from your previous experience, even for non-kids audiences, how do you input your cultural hat on when catering that content to our region and from our region?
Okay, and let's start with Majid. If we wanted to create something for Majid or search for acquisition content for Majid, we need to search for something that's really safe for our kids in MENA region, in UAE, and in different Arab countries. Why? Because it's our goal, it's our aim, and it's our duty to share with them the good values, the correct values that we raised on. And especially because we have our own IPs in Majid. So we need to think about the ideas that we are sending to our audience there, especially the kids, because we have to put ourselves in their shoes. We need to understand their behavior, their thinking. The kids before 2 years ago, not like the kids before 15 years ago. So we need to understand their culture, we need to understand their education sector, we need to understand their behaviors and what they like, what they don't like. And we need to search for messages that cater their appetite, from the stories from Authentics or stories like from different regions. And because of that, we are attending different content markets to search for those kinds of content with those kind of values. This is for kids. But from my previous experience, when I worked in Dubai TV with Mariam, there was different messages that we need to search for our programs. She was director and producer for one of the most important shows, Cars, at that time. And I'm sharing the same point that Mariam shared earlier about there wasn't much ladies in that field, especially on the production field as a director or producers who stay late at night and their families are okay with it. Our family wasn't okay with that at the first, because I can believe my dad, Allah yarhamah, who supported me on my decision and tried to work with me on that challenges that we had at that time, because he believes in my skills and in my career. And that beliefs grows with my leaders and my society and my friends, especially. Thank you, Mariam, for being there for me. And I believe that beliefs that we had that time shaped our future in the media field, especially in what we are now. We are talking about experience. And because I think everyone is agreed with me, when women are trusted and give a real leading role, they can do miracles.
Absolutely. Thank you, Buthaina. And yes, the title of our panel is Women Shaping the Future, but definitely we can never forget the roles that male do play. And I feel like it reciprocates when we say behind every great man there's a great woman. I think it also goes the other way around. So definitely great having supporting fathers. We're lucky. I wanted to direct my question right now to Mariam because of what you touched on in the beginning. What would you say is the biggest opportunities and challenges when it comes to representing women and girls on the screen, both globally and locally? I know throughout your content you really are adamant on mentioning Emirati women and the role of the women in our culture. So what would you say were your biggest opportunities and challenges throughout that journey?
I mean, I think the challenges that always women face is they feel that they are constantly in need to prove themselves. Like, this is a thing that it feels like a burden on your shoulder that I haven't done enough and I need to prove and I need to be good at every single thing. And I think as women generally in all fields, they do feel that sense of like always needing to go the extra mile. And so I think that still exists, but of course we've crossed many paths into this. And I think if you're just clear and consistent and persistence, I think persistence is the word, because you know the production world is not an easy world. You know, it's late hours, it's hectic hours, it's physically demanding. You know, it's physically challenging on women. But you do have the superpower, you know, we create kids, you know, we have families. So I think we're very lucky that we have this power to just continue to create. But I do think there is a massive underrepresentation of women on screen. Off screen is even more. Like, you know, if we look at the directors, women directors, let alone women directors, we're talking about whether it's producers, whether the production designers, whether it's ADs, whether it's camera women, they're literally, I could count them on my hands globally. I'm not talking about also just the MENA region. So that is something that definitely needs to be looked into and encouraged. I think the encouragement and to just give them the space as well to be there is important. I think the flexibility is an issue with women because we're always expected to work as if we don't have a family, and when we're moms, we're expected to work be a mom as if we don't have a job. I think this is the I wouldn't say it's a balance, it's a juggle that every woman needs to go through. So I think the flexibility and creating a world that also helps women is essential in this field, rather than looking down at them. Like we would always get instances if we had, we're in a meeting and then your son is sick and you have to take them to the clinic. Look at all the, looks around like, oh, here she goes again because of her kid, and it is frustrating because it's a normal part of being a human being, But on the other hand, if the man says that, it's a different, it's like, oh, that's so nice of him, he's such a great father. So it's like, so it's still there, unfortunately, everywhere in the world, this is happening. So we always, have to face that constantly. I would love to see, I always want to write about stories about women in different fields, not necessarily Emirati women, but I also like to be authentic because for me, I don't feel it makes sense if I write about someone out of my ethnicity because I don't know their stories, their struggle, and I feel and that's why it annoys me so much when someone not from this region writes a story about someone from the region because it's no matter what research you do, you didn't live in the shoes of that person. So I think we should give due each person's story. So from myself, I constantly push to write stories from the region, especially about women to women. And I think it is, because it's culturally interesting, because you want to be sensitive to the culture, you want to make sure that you write the right narratives and stories. And as women, as you all know, we're very complex human beings, We have so many layers and depth and things that the audience might feel a bit confused about. So I think a lot of people try to shy away from stories that are human and drama. And that's why they go towards more stories that are a bit, not from the real part, I would say, not reality and more kind of. So yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a push towards more representation of women on screen and behind the scenes.
Thank you, Mariam, for your input. I think that brings me to the next question regarding what themes and stories do you feel we are yet to see come out of this part of the world and be presented on the screen, be it locally and globally, because we know now with all the streaming platforms and content being available for every viewer wherever they're based, there's a bigger opportunity. So is there any story any of you would like to share that they aim to put out there?
I could take this question.
Please,
okay.
Go ahead.
So when I saw Adolescence this year, I loved it. I really loved it because I know if anybody has seen it, it's about the bullying part and how it can go way beyond our expectations. Just one emoji on a comment on Instagram could affect a child. So this was really eye-opening, and because we don't understand the language of commenting and emojing and whatever, so it's always very good to have on your team people who are young, although it's very hard to handle young employees because they have their own rules, they always believe in what they have a very strong mindset. But those types of stories, when you address them not in a dark way like Adolescence, because people from Egypt and from MENA as well, they liked comedy. Comedy is the top searched content. So let's address this in a comedy way. So when every woman or every man gets his child back home, they said, I'm left out from my group. Isn't this a common thing that we all know? My girlfriends are not talking to me. I was not invited to that birthday. That very small thing, it's a certain type of bullying, but we can address it in a comedy way, in a comedian style. Because we all laugh about it. We all try to make kids laugh about it in a good way, to accept not being accepted, or to accept being left out of the group, or to accept being harassed or even commented with an emoji. I like to highlight like an educational kind of content. It could be even funny for you to create something about it. Yani you can do something about explaining the emojis. It's really funny when they try to explain to us what this plus this plus this means. It's really so funny. We just have to use it, not talking about our senses and our emotions in a way that makes us feel guilty about it, because I'm really offended by how families have to speak about all the problems in the MENA family or the Arabic family in whole. It has to be so bad, so hurtful. It's not always like that. We can just tackle it from a very sensitive point of view and explain to ourselves as adults and to explain to other kids who don't understand these languages. This we will create a very healthy and safe form for everybody to speak about all the taboos that we've been told not to talk about in the past.
Absolutely, and this is all about, you know, keeping up with all that's evolving, emojis and all the lingo. Kids, you can't keep up these days, so it's really important to cater to them from that perspective, which actually brings me to another point that you highlighted, Elzahraa, when speaking to an audience of teens and tweens. How do you go about a storytelling angle for them, which I feel like you kind of lightly touched upon right now? But how is that contributing to your mission of also building a content library for that forgotten sector, let's say?
Well, at first we created something called like a creative bucket. It's like we have 2 meetings per week. We discuss all the things that happened in our home because we were creating a family comedy. So a family comedy is always relatable to stuff that happened at home. So we're always trying to be authentic by being real and by discussing all the problems and all the stuff that were funny, the movie nights, everything. And we just put it down in the creative bucket. And then we would sit with the director to shortlist the ideas that he would find suitable for creating them in a filmmaking style that is funny and that is relatable, and that we believe that all the characters in the episodes will relate to and will understand. Because at the end of the day, when we were talking about fathers who are disconnected sometimes, they are not in the scene. And we wanted to make a family where the fathers and the mothers and the kids and the grandparents, they are in the scene. So we shortlisted our ideas from the bucket list, and this is how we built a writer room where we were able to create consistent content with that style. So we started with small scenes, and then the scenes became related to more bigger themes, and that's how we are trying to address consistent writing and building scripts that can last and can grow and can be relatable and not just an idea that popped in the mind and that's it.
Okay, thank you, Elzahraa. Really excited to see how that library turns out. Moving on to a bit more of a leadership perspective and how women executives are helping shape the decision-making process when selecting these productions and IPs for our market. I'll direct that question to Fatiha and then maybe over to Buthaina as well to build on it.
So basically, as I briefly mentioned before, we always put the kids, our audience well-being at the center of our decisions. And we have standards and practices that we apply as we review or assess content. So we look, of course, at the educational value. We look at the safety, because sometimes producers tend to forget the safety come first point, which is literally putting something that is super dangerous in the content, and kids automatically would just mimic that or just do the same thing, and they would be in danger. So that's some very basic elements that can be basically oversight in production. After that, there is of course the storyline. Storyline has to be very, very strong and addressing different aspects. It does not have to be always educational, because we also cater to kids who are a bit older. So we have to bring the humor, the comedy, the adventure, the dreams. So all of that needs to be part of the content that we select. And anything that does not go in line with our values, the cultures, regulations, gets automatically rejected. But we always provide, we strive and provide constructive feedback to the content providers, the producers, to try and help them basically address those concerns in future productions. So this is in a nutshell, basically.
Thank you, Fatiha. Over to Buthaina, because you also cater to multiple platforms for the content to reach the youth audience, let's say. So how do you tackle your perspective when having a content creation in mind from the start?
I think we need to travel with our ideas beyond. We don't go with the normal story type of storytelling, especially for the production. Now, because Fatiha talked about kids, I will talk about different stories for women. When you are going to bring a story to a life for a different audience across the global, because now with live streaming, with the different social media platforms, are exposed to different audience platforms around the world. So we need to search with authentic stories that reflect our cultural authenticity, and it should be global appealing. We need to think creative and bringing those ideas to life. As a managerial level, you do much than just sitting on the desks and give orders. You go with your team on the field. You create the content, you shape the ideas, and then you support the editing and delivering of those messages. That's what I believe will do the changes in telling the story authentic, searching for the authentic stories and reality also behind those stories. And the most important thing also, the way of delivering those messages or stories. Who and whom are sending, and to whom? Who is sending those stories and to whom? Because from our how can I say that? Because women experience are captured from external lenses that don't reflect the reality behind those stories. And if there is a woman who work as producer, creative, and director, can transfer those stories to the audience out there in a good way.
Thank you, Buthaina. Thank you. Moving to Mariam for a slightly different role, being a woman founder of a production house, let's say. How does that build and sustain creative studios while you still maintain artistic integrity throughout the whole process?
Yeah, I think this is the toughest thing to do ever because, you know, as a creative, like you spend every dime on everything and you don't make any revenue. Currently, this is where I'm at. Because
Just talking about this before
honestly,
the panel, yes, because we spend all the money online shopping.
No, I wish, you know, every project I've handled so far, every time I've budgeted, right, and okay, there has to be a bit of revenue for Triplets on set because that's sustainability, right? And for some reason, you know, at the end of the project, I'm like, oh, here we go. I managed to just cover the cost because I have an issue where and I don't think I think it's right. I need to pay people fairly, right? I don't like to negotiate. I think it's wrong. And I think there has been a lot of abuse in the industry, and I've faced it, with people negotiating your price range. And I'm very bad at negotiation. I'll say, okay, yes. I'm like, why did I say yes? So, you know, being that kind of, and when I used to work in jobs, I don't know, for some reason, I was very adamant. I would fight because it's not my company. When it came in my shoes with my company, for some reason, I just want to give everything away. It's like, yes, I just want to do it because I love the project so much. I'll get 3 cameras instead of 1. I will, you know, get, you know, all those people to work because I'm so passionate about how the end product would be. But that clashes with being a producer and owning your company because, hey, you need to sustain your business, you know, the cash flow would eventually end. So look, I'm definitely at the beginning of my journey. I'm learning a lot from amazing people I'm working with. I'm so blessed that I'm working with big companies like people like Boomtown. I'm just in awe at the professionalism and integrity and values that I didn't think existed in this industry. So for me, just being around such intellectual, talented, smart people and kindness as well. We sometimes forget in this industry, you know, everyone eats each other out because they compete and they think we have to be mean to each other. And I learned the lesson. There is place for everyone at the table. Be confident and be happy for everyone's success. And I think that's my motto. I'm like, you know what? Okay, I didn't make revenue. I didn't make anything for Triplets on set, but I got 2 projects made. And for me, that is a success. I'm not too in a rush. And I think if you have that mindset, because the problem with businesses, everyone, they want in the first year to kind of have all this money and revenue, and they would fight nastily to get that. And I think, and that's why they fail ultimately, because that's not the soul of the business. I didn't create this business because of money or because of, you know, eventually I would want to, but I created it because I believed as Mariam, I don't want to be a manager anymore. I don't want to be a head of anything anymore. I want to be out there creating stories and working with amazing, talented people from the region, from different nationality. And so that's why Triplets on Set was built. And I think if you have that integrity in you, you will draw the like-minded people, you will get the right, but just be patient. So it's a juggle, and it's a fine line that I'm kind of, but I'm okay. I'm happy with the progress and with being slow. And believe me, this wasn't me a couple of years ago. I was always impatient. Buthaina would know. I would, you know, so be emotionally driven and just get upset and not understand, because we have a sense sometimes as women that we must control everything, the outcome, and you would blame yourself. And now I'm like, you know, maybe because I'm entered the 40s, I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. It happened. It happened. It didn't. You know what? It's not meant to be. So it's at the right time, at the right phase, I believe, for me.
Absolutely, Mariam. Thank you. And I totally resonate with the fact of being authentic and being who you are. And when you are that, people just align with you. And that's how projects come to life, with alignment and being on the same page, I think, in everything we do in our industry. We're almost at the end of our discussion, but I wouldn't want to end our talk without hearing from each of you, especially because there seems to be an aligned theme of speaking to youth and kids and families. Like, what would be a piece of advice that you'd give to young women starting their way in our industry? What would be your one core advice to have them play a pivotal role, as you each have, as we heard from your experiences? I'll start in order from Elzahraa, please.
Okay, my first advice would be it's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to have an opinion that does not agree with everybody else. It's okay to go home and cry because everybody just gave you bad feedback. It's okay to come the other day and just, it's okay. Or, yani, it's okay. Whatever you challenge in this day, the sun comes up the next day. Just be cheerful, be resilient, be persistent, and it will happen. I promise it will happen. This happens, by the way, for women and for men, because we are all human beings after all. We all face the same challenges. We all get hurt when we get rejected, especially in this market, because we're all competing for the same pie, and we're all looking forward to put our stories out there, because we're so passionate like Mariam, but you are entering the 40s, so I can relate. But I understand that at the beginning it hurts a lot. But now, after so many years in the business, I totally get that it's okay. You just fail something, you try again. But failing is never and will never be the thing that will stop anyone. Even more, it's just another motivation to do more and to work more and to try another way. That's all. That's my advice.
Thank you so much, Elzahraa. What would be your advice, Mariam?
I don't know if I'm in a position to give advice, but because I'm learning, you know, from someone who's 5-year-old or someone who's 10. You know, my kids teach me every day a lesson, and from anyone who's in the industry and an older generation and all of that. But I think it's to be audacious as a woman. I will still focus on women. That is a women's panel, you know. So I would say be as audacious as you can, and don't think that you have to have all the skill set, because that's what I thought when you start. Because you think, no, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know, you know. And then it's like once you just, we have a saying in Arabic called "As'a ya abdi wa as'a ma'ak." You know, like as long as you go and run, things will just like you know, throw the net and the fish will appear in a sense. So just, you know, be audacious, be courageous, be persistent, know what you want, and the doors will definitely open. So be audacious.
Absolutely. Fatiha.
I would say women don't have an excuse not to basically succeed. They are naturally equipped and they naturally inherit all the top must-have skills. If you talk resilience, empathy, creativity, curiosity, serving others, talent management, influencing others, leadership, we have them all. So we don't have an excuse not to succeed. And I would say, don't take no for an answer. Fight for your ideas. Make yourself heard. Join the writers' rooms, the producers. Tell your story. Tell the story about others. Don't let others to portray you as being oppressed or being too luxurious. You have your story, say to the world. So we want to move from being just portrayed and represented to actually being heard. And I would say dream comes true. So dream, don't stop dreaming, and just follow your dreams.
Thank you, Fatiha. Buthaina, would you like to share your advice with us?
Yes, I always ask people to believe in themselves, chase their dreams. Don't stop their career or their ambition because they feel they stopped or they fall down. No, you didn't. You didn't fall down. You just have an obstacle that you have to go over it, and then you will glow. You will sparkle on the sky. Be unique, be yourselves, and always keep learning from everyone, because you can't reach to the knowledge that no one can understand more than me. No, keep learning always from everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Buthaina. And as Mariam said, honestly, like even from kids, our kids, we learn every day things that surprise us. So definitely I resonate with all of you. Learning is a non-stop journey. Definitely speak up and always be heard, be on the table, and share your ideas. We do have some time left for questions if anyone would like to ask our lovely panelists anything before we wrap up.
Thank you. An Emotional Media Group. Question to Fatiha. Thank you so much. It was really incredible to listen to you today. Since we are just entering the region and understanding it, what was the most successful kids show in your experience lately on the networks you commission for?
There are so many great IPs on the platform. And I'm also very happy to see actually many local productions from the region. And that's not new, actually, because we did get a lot of Majid content that is locally produced years ago. And now I see more and more content that's being produced from the region that is very high quality and matches global standards. Now, to come to like the most performing IPs, I would say if I go genre, I wouldn't go into an IP name because there's so much great content on our platforms. I would say preschool. Preschool works extremely well. The preschoolers consume a lot of content, and if we manage to provide them with very well studied and researched preschool content, I think that's very important, because not all the preschool content delivers the value and the educational basically aspect that you wanted to deliver. So you need to ensure that whatever preschool content you acquire has research and studies done behind the IP. It's not just character moving around and dancing. That's not what we try to secure. After that, of course, comedy, dreams, everything that makes the kids can dream about something works very well on the platform. So there's so many IPs, I think, that our audience is enjoying. I don't want to pick. But it has to be very high quality in terms story, animation, execution, everything has to be to perfection because the competition is so intense. So you have to basically click all the points to ensure to be on the platform.
Thank you, Fatiha. Any other questions to any of the panelists?
Thank you so much for your stories, inspiring and moving as a MENA woman from Europe to the MENA region, trying to make it as well with my story and my perspective and my POV about the stories I resonate with. In terms of IP, because it's all about IPs at the end of the day, right? I find it difficult, not difficult, but a challenge to negotiate when it comes to your IP rights. How do you deal with, because I'm not doing the 90-10, all right? So how do you deal with negotiations with, for example, a big streamer or something you want to sell, and then you're so eager to tell your story that you accept any offer and then get, being disadvantaged in the long run. So what advice do you have for women like me who wants to negotiate a little bit more than that 10% that people will give you for your IP rights?
It's for me, okay.
In general.
So, yeah, sure. I think you have to study very well the market. You need to know the platforms. You need to know your clients very well before you pitch your IP. At the end, it's your IP, right? It's up to you to decide where do you want to put it first, especially if you're faced to exclusivities, holdbacks, because, of course, platforms will come with that kind of terms. If they want your IP badly, then yes, of course, they will ask you for an exclusivity and a holdback. So after that, it depends on your strategy. What are you trying to achieve? Do you want to just monetize or you want the reach? So it all depends, again, on your own strategy for your IP. Sometimes content creators, as Mariam said, they don't make any money. They create the content, but they don't see revenue. But again, what's your strategy? Do you want to reach people? It will take time. It is literally a long journey for you until you position yourself as basically a must-have IP that the platforms will go after you. Of course, there are always sampling. Like you can always sample your IP on some platforms, and a lot of content creators today, before they proceed with a full pilot even, they put short excerpts. I would mention YouTube, for example, is a great lab for content creators where they upload a short of different versions, different characters even. They put like a character in the story, and then they pick a different character in the same story, and they see the traffic. They analyze the data, and they look at what's working best for this segment, for this excerpt, this short segment. And then they adjust their production accordingly. So there is a lot of lab, a lot of research that needs to be done before basically you create your IP. And then it is a long journey, as I said, but also platforms can easily identify and quickly whether your IP is a must-have. It's no-brainer for us, especially when you have more than 25 years of experience. You've seen a lot of content, and the must-have IP, you identify it right away, and you will know from the platform that they want your IP. So then it's up to you to decide which platform should get it.
I would also like to add that just start studying licensing and exclusivity options. learn from case studies, read legal forms, and understand how other people did licensing and exclusivity and non-exclusive opportunities. And that's how you build your pitch, because it's never the same for all platforms. By studying the platforms and what they're looking for is the first thing, and then you study your licensing options, and then the pricing, which is, I say, the golden rule of selling your content. You have to be fair, and you have to be transparent, and you have to be authentic. And this is the main thing women bring to the table. We are always transparent, and we always know how it costs and how much money we want to make. You don't make extra 100% or 300, 500% margins of revenue. This is not right. This is what men do, but we don't do that. So just learn your client, understand licensing, and go for it. And just be there to negotiate and pick your fights. You will know when to stop fighting and when to accept. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Elzahraa. With that, we are wrapping up our session. Thank you so much for the 4 panelists and for all of you who attended this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.